to Rick's Corner. I have Vixen back. She's been on before, and she has a couple of issues she wants to talk about that we spoke about briefly, and we're going to get into it right away. Number one issue was...
Last time I was on your show, we talked about me getting on the Accutane to deal with these severe side effects that I've gotten from using anabolic steroids. So,
Okay.
One of the protocols to being on the Accutane is it's mandatory for women who can get pregnant to be on the birth control pill for the whole duration of the Accutane, which for me was 9 months. So I had to go on the birth control pill, and I'm sure many of you have women in your lives that are on the birth control pill, whether it's your girlfriend or your wife or somebody that you know. Those women may have been experiencing what I dealt with just being on the pill for a short while, like 6 to 9 months. I completely lost my sex drive. I didn't want to work out, and I've worked out every single day since I was 15 years old. And I've always been motivated to go to the gym, and I didn't want to anymore, and so I didn't really train. It's a good thing I was able to hold on to these ripped muscles, but I stuck to a good diet, but I didn't really work out because I had zero motivation. So I wouldn't doubt it.
Let me ask you, before we go further, would that be a sort of depression?
I did go into a minimal, depression, if you want to call it.
Is this going off the drugs?
I don't think so. I just think it had to do with the estrogen overtaking me, because I started crying for no reason, like at silly movies that I watched thousands of times.
But were you on anabolics at the time?
I had to come off all anabolics.
Okay, so what I'm saying is I know a lot of guys, they go off everything and they don't want to train, they get depressed, they don't have any motivation to train. The hormone just drops.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So it's the same sort of thing that you're saying.
It could have been, and that's for you guys to really look at these women in your life who are on the birth control pill and see, do they have a high sex drive? Because I doubt it. And, do they like to work out as much as you do? Probably not. And I have to say, from my own personal experience, it had to do with being on the estrogen, because I'm back on anabolic steroids now, and I'm still having a hard time getting into the gym and being motivated to get results again.
Yeah. And that's because of?
The birth control pill. So if, like most women, don't have a very high sex drive, they're not really craving sex as much as men are, this could be the issue. I highly recommend getting off the birth control pill if it's possible. Go use alternative options, because it's mentally and physically debilitating for women to take such large doses of this estrogen, especially if you know about hormones and what estrogen does to us. So, it would be the opposite of the testosterone that we talked about last time.
Yeah, sure. It makes sense to me. And everybody's body has a different chemistry, so they react differently as they take it. And
this is true.
Some good, some bad, and some indifferent. Right?
Right.
Point 2 now.
Point 2.
Oh, I have a question. When you're on, for a woman, when women train like men train, now today, anybody in bodybuilding, most women all train like a guy trains. You break up your body parts, you do your sets, your reps, and all that.
Because we all have the same muscles.
Okay.
Same muscles in our body.
And so, because the hormones are different, do you take, if you're going to do an anabolic, do you take testosterone?
Yes.
In what form?
I like the propionate because it doesn't hold, I don't hold on to water like I do some of the longer ester tests.
What about masteron?
I do that before shows a lot, but that makes me hold water, I believe. As a female, these hormones affect me differently than than the males do.
Right, I know that.
Because I've learned a lot just in this past year about the difference between anabolic steroids and androgenic supplements or hormones. So I've learned what works for me and my body, and just like everybody else should.
Well, explain on camera what the difference between, because this is a good point.
It is.
Androgenic and anabolic. They're two separate things.
Right. So I've learned through my experiences, my skin does a lot better on the anabolic steroids.
Which is tissue building.
Muscle building, right. This is going to build muscle.
And androgenic is more the male hormone.
Right.
Okay.
So it's going to have more of those side effects of being a man, which is why my skin breaks out more. I tend to get a little more irritable because I'm a woman, so I'm not even supposed to be having these hormones to begin with.
Of course.
I take them by choice to build muscle, because as a woman we have very minimal testosterone, and that's what builds muscle. If I want to be a champion bodybuilder, I'm going to need something to help me build muscle, because as a woman I could only grow so big, and that was the end of naturally bodybuilding.
Okay, this brings me to another point, because this is all kind of going down the road.
Good stuff. Good stuff.
When you're taking androgenic. So you're taking testosterone. That is an androgenic. That's a male hormone. For guys, it increases their sex drive, it increases everything, and it gives you more strength. Not necessarily gives you the enormous size you do, but because you're stronger, you lift heavier, and you eat more, and you grow. However, the anabolics are the one that gives you the size. And for a guy, when you take an anabolic such as DECA, you get what they call DECA-DIC, which means you lose your sex drive and it won't get up, because the anabolic effect of that raises your estrogen in a man, and because of that, it drops down your sex drive. Follow me?
Yes, this is very true.
It's just basically the opposite of what happens to you, right?
I've heard of the DECA-DIC, and I've experienced some guys who have gone through that, unfortunately.
Actually, Trenbolone does the same thing.
Does it really?
Yeah.
See, that I did not know.
Equipoise, no. But anything that's testosterone-based, well, let me put it this way. As you get older, you're over 40, you drop, I think it's like 1% a year of your testosterone. So by the time you're 50 and 55, you start to sag a little bit.
Growth hormone as well, I have to add.
Oh, well, I'm going to get to that.
That's huge.
I'm going to get to that.
That declines.
But your testosterone just declines, and you start to age. And this is, as I say, I just turned 70. I'm on testosterone 250 a week, 250 milligrams a week.
Wow.
Well, okay, because it keeps me younger, and I know it does, and my doctor knows what I take.
And you feel good on it.
And it's anti-aging. Now, growth hormone has the same effect, but there's also a dispute about how much do you take with growth hormone. It's very, very expensive.
Right. Which is why most bodybuilders take as much as they can afford.
Right. And they can afford like a week's worth.
So we have to budget. Even our growth hormone gets budgeted. If we have a show, I have to stockpile. Real growth kits are very expensive because I don't mess around with that black market crap.
That's another point. Okay? She's absolutely right. The real stuff is expensive. And when you're buying stuff out here on the open market, you don't know what's real and what's not. Depending on who you buy from, you buy from Joe Blow down the street, hey, I got some growth hormone for you. It could look like the real deal, but it's not always the real deal.
Right.
And you use it, and all of a sudden nothing's happening. You wasted all your money, and it's not doing a thing for you.
Because they get maybe one kit that is real, and then they're diluting it into all these other kits that are minuscule. They have a very tiny amount of real growth hormone in them.
Exactly. I heard the same thing about Winstrol V. Or Winstrol injectable, because back when I was training in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, Winstrol was a tablet. It was a little pink tablet, 2.5 milligram, and it did wonders. It made you cut, and it made you hard. Then all of a sudden the injectable comes out, and I tried it, and I was so sore for a week. I had such a lump.
Yeah.
Everybody tells me this.
It was brutal.
And then I was told that that's not Winstrol, that's Armorol. And so now you're putting Armorol on your body because you don't know what you're buying.
So be careful out there. Be wise, because you don't know what you're getting.
I have a book out called the Wikipedia
of
steroids, and I wrote it, and I did some research through all my years of training.
That's amazing.
I sell it on my website. It's $14.95. It's a booklet. It tells you everything that's out there, what it does not do, what to take, what not to take. Now, I don't advocate the use of steroids. I don't say go take them, because that's your choice, and I'm not going to push them on anybody. I'm not a drug dealer. But this at least tells you what it's about, so that you make a wise choice if you decide to do it. And you shouldn't even do it at a young age, right?
Yes, I agree with that 100%. I didn't do it until I was later in life. I had been competing for 5 years already, 100% natural. And then I reached my peak. You can't get any bigger naturally, especially as a woman.
Yeah. It has a plateau. You know, and some people are gifted genetically, and they do get to a certain point, and they get great. And I know guys like that. They're born with diamond-shaped calves, and their mom had calves, and their grandmother had calves. And then there's those who don't. And so they have to cross that edge. And if you're going to compete nowadays, this is what everybody does. If you just want to look good in the gym and out on a Saturday night, then you don't need to do it. I mean, it's really not that necessary.
Right.
It's an ego thing.
But a lot of guys do it because it makes them strong.
Yes, they do.
And it makes your sex drive increase, and you feel like $1 million on it.
There's no question. There's no question about it. But like I say, that starts around 40 for men when you start to decline. And I have a lot of friends, 42, 45, 48, say, oh man, I just don't have any energy anymore. I don't get a sex drive. I don't feel like doing anything. And their testosterone levels have dropped dramatically. They've gone to their doctors. So I ask your doctor to put you on it, because legally they can.
Yeah.
If it's down, they can put you on it.
And it should be offered, because these real growth hormone kits that the doctors are prescribing to AIDS patients and other people with deformities that actually need it, It's saving their life. It's saving their health.
Right.
Why wouldn't it be good for us? Why would it be bad and banned? And, you know, we're not supposed to talk about it, and only anti-aging doctors can prescribe it, but it's saving people's lives. So what is so wrong about that?
This is true. And, you know, I want to say this, too, because I just went to the cardiologist last week. I had a 3-week series of tests. Because I reach a certain age, and I want to check my heart. I want to make sure I'm good. And so they get all the blood panels, they check my blood count. I only have one kidney. I was born with one kidney, so you got to watch that too if you take anything. So they check my kidney, my liver, my thyroid. Everything was perfect. Now we get to the cholesterol levels. I eat a lot of eggs, and I eat a lot of red meat, and I'm taking testosterone. My cholesterol is 130. That's perfect.
Wow.
And I was shocked. I mean, I expected to hear the worst, because you go to the doctor and think, oh my God, he's going to tell me I'm dying. My arteries are all clogged, and I'm going to explode going to the gym. Well, they did an what they call an echogram of my heart and all the arteries around. You can see these little colors on the screen.
No kidding.
Not one blockage. Not one.
Good for you.
So I went back 2 days ago, and they did what they call the carotid arteries. And the carotid artery has a weird name. You think it's corroded, but it's carotid. And this is what goes to your brain, and you can get a clot, and you can have a stroke, and you can die. So they check these out, clear as a bell. So what I'm saying is that my lifestyle for all these years, 50 years I've trained, and I've eaten properly, and I've done everything in moderation, it worked.
Working out will save your life and
Yeah.
keep you healthy and be able to live a long, healthy life.
Exactly. I mean, we're not talking about injuries, because we all have injuries, and that just goes along with what we do for a living.
Everybody has aches and pains.
Yeah, so your diet now is pretty clean?
That's another thing. I really learned how to dial into my body for the first time. Even the 7 years, 8 years I've been competing, I've never been this ripped. So I've never really learned how to dial in your diet as much as I am now, which is why it makes me want to go to the stage again, because I have all this knowledge of my body and what diet works best for me now that I know. I want to compete looking like this, because all the years I spent competing, I didn't look half as good as I do now.
Sure, I get it.
So I'm thinking about doing physique, because there aren't any bodybuilding shows left for women except on a pro level. So we talked a little bit about that last time. So the only option for me to compete on an amateur level locally would be to switch sports and do physique.
Mm-hmm. It's gone that way now too, hasn't it?
It has, and I wouldn't be surprised if the men's goes in that direction.
No, they are
already.
They have been doing. Down in Venice, I've been seeing them do that. I had a friend that entered and won, actually.
Wait.
He's 63 years old.
Wow.
He won that. And he did really well. Looked great. His diet, boy, he was down to the asparagus and chicken every day for like 6 to 8 weeks, which you know is boring.
It can get old.
It can get old real quick. And you know, the thing is that I've always watched my diet, and I've always stayed really lean and hard. And I have a shirt in the house that I wore in 1975. I guess I was wrestling in the South. And it's a patchwork shirt, and it fit me pretty good.
Yeah.
And everybody says, oh, you're so much bigger then. And I put it on yesterday. I can't even get it on.
Holy cow.
I can't. So obviously I wasn't that much bigger, but I was more cut.
Right.
Which made me look that much bigger. And what I find, and you probably tell them the same thing, as you get older, no matter how hard you train, no matter what you take, and all these things, your metabolism changes.
Everything changes.
Everything changes, and you do get fat. Even if you have a couple of spoons of ice cream a night, my girlfriend says, it doesn't count, Rick, it melts. Well, it melts, and it ends up right here. And so you can't do it every night, you know. I mean, it's like once in a while. And even when you're dieting for a show and you take a junk day, don't you feel fat the next day?
No, I get sick. I'm so clean and healthy, and
Yeah.
I detox so much now that when I do eat crap food, I just get sick.
Yeah.
I just feel like crap the next day.
You ever eat a hamburger?
I love hamburgers.
So what's the worst thing on a hamburger? Just the bun?
Yes, and if you get cheese. I don't do any dairy, so.
I always ate a lot of cheese, cottage cheese, and cheese on my burger patties when I was in my top shape, because it was a form of protein.
Sure.
That was real cheese. Now it's cheese foods. We don't even know where the cheese comes from. It could be from Munda cheese. You know what that is? Cheese from Munda. Yeah, that's what we call it. I ask waitresses, and they don't know what I'm talking about. But I tried to eliminate the cheese recently, and I went back to eating egg yolks, because the fat in the yolk does give you energy. And if you,
especially the key with the yolks is to buy the omega-3 eggs, because now you're getting a supplement in your food instead of taking these fish oils that you don't know if they're even being absorbed into your stomach. You're eating the supplements in your food. So I pay extra to buy the eggs that have the omega-3 fatty acids in it that our bodies can't produce, so we need to take them either supplementally with fish oils or getting it in your food like flax oils and these omega-3 eggs that they're giving, the hens are given flax seeds, so it's better to just eat real food than to take all these supplements that you may not even be absorbing because your digestive system is so clogged up.
Oh God, you're so right about that. And for years I never took anything. In the past couple of years I've taken the omegas, I take CLA, I take fenugreek, I take a few things, and it's inexpensive, but I figure it's going to be good. I don't know if it is or if it isn't, because I did well without it. But you're right about the omegas. I've heard the fish oil that you buy is not necessarily that great.
And unfortunately, the fish that we buy have a minimal amount of the fatty acids that we need in it too, because a lot of them are farm raised now.
That's
so
right.
They're not being bred in cold waters, which is what they need, and they're feeding them antibiotics and adding color, so it looks like fish, but it's really not.
I started doing coconut oil.
Me too.
I heard it was really good.
Because of the fats. Because
Right.
I don't do carbs, so I have to add more fats into my meals
Right.
and into my diet, and it's completely changed 180 since I changed this diet in May.
Yeah.
And that's when I've really got down to be ripped and feel good and healthy at this weight.
And so what have you got coming up that they can find? Where they can find you on Facebook?
Yes, and I'm actually running a special on my website this month only. For the month of August, you'll receive 2 weekly updates instead of just one on my website, ripvixen.com. So check that out. You'll see all my social media links on the bottom. Just click on the button. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Tumblr, LinkedIn. I'm all over the place.
That's good. It's a good way to have all those little icons down there where they can click and see.
Yeah, check out my site. It's doing well, and I'm on webcam 2 to 3 times a week, so you can check me out live there.
I can check you out live right now, can't I?
Yes.
It's always a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here.
It's always a pleasure. You always have so much advice and good common sense and good energy to bring to the table, and you guys take a listen to her, because she knows what she's talking about. She's a wonderful person. I see her in the gym. She's got a heart of gold, and she's got a mind full of things that you need to understand and listen to. And thank you so much for being here, and
Thanks,
stay
guys.
tuned for more Rip's Corner, and we'll have Rip back again.
See you next.
It's rickdrasin.com. He is the equalizer, baby. See you next time.